Welcome. Now we're looking at the final slide of this particular assignment. Here you are asked to identify the scale of a graph. This is part 2, and so this will build significantly off of what we were learning in part 1. You do need to get 10 of these correct, and our instructions tell us that in this assignment you will be given a graph with unlabeled axes and a point on the graph. You will then be asked to identify the scale of each axis. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this will be like. And what you're presented with is pretty simple. For the graph to the left, identify the scale of each axis and enter the information in the table below. So if you'll recall, in part 1, I ask you just for either the x or the y coordinate, and then I ask you to count the number of spaces between that and the axis, and then finally do that calculation to find the scale. Well, in this assignment, you're going to be doing that for both axes, and I'm not going to walk you through the steps. I just ask you for the final answer. So let's take a look at this one right here, and we'll see if we can't figure out how to do this together. So I've got my coordinate, and I know 60 is the x coordinate, and negative 4,800 is the y coordinate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the x coordinate, which was 60, and to find my y scale, or my x scale rather, I need to find out how many spaces from the y-axis that 60 is. And if I count, there's 1, 2, 3 spaces. So the scale of the x-axis must be 60 divided by 3, which is, of course, 20. And for my y scale, I've got negative 4,800, and then I need to know how far that is from the x-axis, and so I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces from the axis, and so when I divide that, I would get negative 800. But let's be careful here. I'm not counting by negative 800 each time. I'm just counting by 800. So I don't have to include that negative. I can simply say 800. So the negative sign does not matter. All the negative sign tells us is the direction. So that negative 4,800 tells us to go down from the x-axis, whereas if it was positive, it would tell us to go up. When we're dealing with scale, we don't really care what direction. Each space will still be worth 800 no matter which direction I go. So I can discount that negative sign there and find that my y scale is in fact 800. As always, checking your answer will tell you if you are correct or not. And I will type these in so that we can actually see that. So 80... oh wow, 20 rather, and this one was 800. I'm going to put in negative 800 so that we have a wrong answer there, so I can show you what happens when we do that. So then you can check your answer, and it will tell you that incorrect, and then it will give you the correct answer. The x-axis is 20 units, and the y-axis is 800, so notice you could see that negative making a difference right there. And if you were correct, it will tell you so. Remember, you're to get 10 of these. I highly recommend that you take some scrap paper to do the work that I did right there. I think that's very helpful to not try and do all of that in your head. And as always, if you encounter trouble, please ask.